In this video, we're going to take a look at creating an analytic chart and an analytic grid. The other types of reports are pretty much clickstream and self-explanatory. We're now going to go through and create an analytic chart. So again, I'm in Dashboard Designer, and on my menu up here, I'm going to select Analytic Chart. And it'll come through and show me the available connections that are down here. If you'll notice on the left, I've already added these connections, and I could have just gone through and created a new one, but I've already got them. So I've got a connection into my analysis cube, AdventureWorks. The report's up, it's updating. It'll give me a I know nothing error. I'm going to move on over to the properties and give it a name. Chart demo. Sounds good. And I'll put it in a display folder so it's easier to find. And now as soon as I move off that, you'll notice over in the workspace. Here we go. Over in the workspace, it comes through and adds chart demo down in here. Okay, now when I went through and created the chart, I connected into AdventureWorks. I now have available to me over here all my measures and all my dimensions off of that cube. So I'm going to expand out measures, and I'm going to come through and find something. We'll do internet sales amount. I'm going to take that and I'm going to drop it on down here to the series, updating, and you see I've got nothing. The reason I have nothing is I'm creating a chart in here, and all internet sales right now is a numeric. It's just a number that's coming on back, and we can't chart that on out. In order to create a chart, I've got to give it some kind of a dimension. So let's go in and pick a dimension down here, and we'll pick product. And within product, if you see this little triangle, that means a hierarchy. I'm going to grab model lines and drop it down here on the bottom axis. And I have a big blue blob. But if I come down here and get more granular with the blob, you see the reason we have that is the default member of that dimension, the product's dimension, is all. So everything is coming on back, which would just give you the display as you just saw it. We'll come through there and select all the different products, and now I'm going to say OK, and again it'll update. And now I have a little more interesting chart. Again, if I move over to the query, you'll see the MDX, which is sent over to the cube. Select hierarchy, etc. And by the way, you can actually enter the MDX here. You can go in and create MDX and enter it in here if the drag and drop isn't good enough for you. Back over in the design, let's take a look at something else. I'm going to drop out internet sales. We'll get an update. Nothing, of course. And now I'm going to move down here to name sets. Name sets are a predefined query, if you will, or a set of tuples, if you want the actual definition, that are stored over and we created in the analysis services cube. So now if I take this core product group and drop it down there, I now have a pop-up. You'll notice the much more colorful display. Here's all products, accessories, road, mountain, touring, etc. And now I've got this other display down here. So now if I go in and take a look at the query, the reason I have that is here's core product group, which was defined, and it's on the rows, from AdventureWorks, which is the name of the cubes. Select hierarchy, product model lines, default member, and it comes through. And that MDX allows me to come through and create these custom displays down there. Let's go through and create an analytic grid. So I'm going to select analytic grid, and again my connection into my cube. It's updating. It'll come through with an error. Go into the properties and I'll name it grid, and I'll put it in the charts folder. Yeah. Let's take a quick look at the query. Here you'll see the MDX again. Select, see, and that's where I dump something in on the columns, on rows from AdventureWorks. But we're going to do the drag and drop. I'll move over to the design pane, and let's do the same thing that we did in the chart demo earlier. So I'll move up to the measures, select internet sales, and drop it on the rows. Now I'll come down here in my dimensions. I'm going to find product. product models and drop that on the columns. And now we have a grid instead of a graphic display. So if I come through and expand out all products, as you can see, I can expand down here and I can drill down into the different products and expand that on out. Let's get rid of this. Come back over. You'll notice as I come back up in here, I just have empty as I move it on through, but because I still have the members of the dimension, I just have no actual data to filter, no facts. So I come down here like this and core product group, and we're going to drop that down here. And now I have core product group, again a named set. So as I expand on down here, here's all products, move up bikes, and you can see as I come on down, I've got a little bit different display. Again, taking a look at the query, all this is the same. As I drop on down here, core product group, and then we have some slightly different code in here. Now that we've created our analytic chart and our analytic grid, let's take a look at some of the features. I've got the analytic chart up here, and if I right click, depending on where I right click, I'm going to have different context menus. And you see up here I've got my filters, so I can go in here and select a filter, and we'll go in and we could select like top 10. And now we have this little filter pops up, show items in the top 10 from, and I can pull that down percent, from zip code, reseller sales amount, and she applies the filters, bringing back all products. If I double click on the filter, you can see what I've got down here is road bikes, represents almost everything. So again, I can go back in here and take the filter and filter top 10 and cancel out of that. All right, up here is your reseller sales amount. This is this information bar. You can clear out that information bar, but that will show you what you have. And if I double click, I can expand on down. Notice the color codes that are applied. That's applied to the best of my knowledge by the rendering engine. I have not discovered any way you can change any of those. As I hover over each little individual item, I get a little visual display up here. And again, if I right click, I can change the report type down here, so I'm going to switch it on over to a grid. And now I've got my grid, and as you see the down arrow, it expands and I changes my sort orders. So if I right click in the cell, once again I've changed that. I can do my format reports, and I could pivot the information. So now I've pivoted it on across my chart down here. I've changed my grid on across. So if you notice, my analytic chart has now just turned into an analytic grid. When you deploy the chart or the grid into Sharepoint, you pick up some other features. I'm now looking into my business intelligence, and I've got a freight report deployed up here into a grid. And now if I come down here and right click, you notice I've got decomposition tree, and I also have select measures. Let's look at select measures. And I'll pull on down here, and I've got internet sales amount, tax amount, and product cost. So if I'm going to clear out, and let's just take a look at taxes, one of everybody's favorite. So now I've changed my display. I'm looking at customer geography. Again, the dimension down here by internet tax. If I come in and right click down here and select decomposition tree, I'll get another window popping on up showing me my decomposition tree, and I can expand this all the way down as far as the data will let me expand on out, so I could further analyze the different information. By the way, that's going to require that you have Silverlight installed. I can come in here and show details, additional actions I have down here, drill through, wait while the green spiral of death develops. And now I'm actually taking a look at the internal data as I come down and look at that. Again, popping this on up, I can select the measures. I can do a different sort. I can apply filters at this point down in here. I could change the report type. Let's change that on over to the, however you feel about it, the pie chart in there. I'm not personally a fan because it's very difficult to read, so it kind of eliminates the idea of charts. Doesn't much matter. And now the same thing down in here. I could also go through, and pivot's not going to do me any good here, but I can switch to the decomposition tree. I can switch to internet tax amount and switch on down and see all customers.